can I take a user story map in Miro and then Lovable can actually connect to it and say, this is a backlog for a product and actually create it?
Yeah, you'd be surprised. This Miro board basis for a very sort of light touch video game. I've tied in there a little bit of a user story map for the user journey in the game. And what I did was I went and this is Lovable I've got on screen now. And all I did here was in the top prompt you can see, check out my Miro board titled Lovable. Here's the link. And from there, Lovable took it away and built the game that you see here.
Hey everyone, I'm Dave from South Florida. And from across the Atlantic Ocean today, I have another Dave, and he's going to help us with better ways of working. All right, so hey, welcome back. If this isn't your first time, and if this is your first time, check us out. And I hope you enjoy this talk today. My guest is going to be Dave Westgarth. He has given himself a challenge that I want you all to hear about. So Dave, introduce yourself and tell us about this interesting challenge.
Hi, Dave. Nice to be with you. Nice to join the podcast. I've listened to quite a few. So thanks very much for having me.
My pleasure.
As you've touched on, I'm in the northeast of England, which is why I've got the dodgy accent. So apologies up front.
No need to apologize, my friend.
If you've watched Game of Thrones, it might not be as hard for you. A lot of us sound like that. I'm a head of delivery at a data-driven consultancy called Unify, and I sort of talk a lot on LinkedIn about things like agile ways of working, about better ways of working, and the most recent stuff I've been talking about towards the end of the year has been my learning and development challenge that we're going to get into.
Perfect. So here's your post and we're recording this on New Year's Day before 2000. Here's your impressive stats here. So tell us about what you were going for here and these impressive numbers and what you've learned.
Yeah, so this is the fourth time I've gone through this challenge. I started this, I think, in 2022, just as a bit of a yardstick, really, to see how far I could really push myself with formal learning in the form of certifications, badges, and courses. And that evolved quite quickly. The first year was very much scattergun. The second year, I focused on agile and delivery. The third year, I focused on cloud. And this year, I focused heavily on data, and all of those have had sprint runs of AI through them as well. Every month, I do sort of almost a personal retrospective on this to see how I'm trending, if I need to step it up in the next month or so. And it's really just about what I really wanted to do. I found it really irking during the start of my career that it was very easy to say in an interview that you're a lifelong learner. And it's one of those sound bites I think a lot of agilists especially like to plug. But I think it's incredibly difficult to prove that without evidence like this. And this is really about me proving that I am a lifelong learner. I take L&D seriously. I do it all the time. And here's the evidence for you to feast your eyes on.
Awesome. So all of these badges that I'm showing on the screen here, this is what you've earned just this year alone in 2025?
Yeah, 2025. So I focused quite heavily on Databricks. I joined Unify this year, which is a Databricks consultancy, and I felt like I needed some technical sort of chops or technical background there to really help me make better decisions as a delivery person working in a Databricks environment. But that's been sprinkled in with all sorts of other things. Cloud's a big platform for me now. And the flavor of the month for every month of 2025 has been AI, and there's a generous lashing of AI in there as well, alongside all the typical delivery and agility focused stuff as well.
So AI is becoming a hot topic. What have you learned from the classes that you took around AI? And is it, we were part of a panel back in the summer of 2025 on AI and agile. So did you take away any more learnings from taking these AI classes?
I'm really spoiled for choice now because the thing that I'm really enjoying is every time it looks like we're approaching a plateau, it busts through and something else comes out or something gets applied in a more creative way to give you something different to think about. So I've really enjoyed that. I think the two key takeaways for me are at the panel we talked about not using AI as an oracle or an authority, using it as a bit of a thinking aid or a thinking partner. I still stand by that. I think that's very clearly the way AI is heading. But what that sort of goes hand in hand with, and the thing I'm really excited about, is AI to accelerate your iteration speed, especially with tools like Lovable, like Base 44, like Replit. The speed of iteration that you can go through now, especially in terms of digital product design and digital product creation, is absolutely breakneck speed and frightening at the minute. I'm planning to do a talk next year on that called Vibe UX, which is combining a lot of old school thinking from Lean UX and putting that AI layer over the top of it and seeing if we can take Lean UX maybe one or two steps further forward from where it went.
Yeah, that's interesting because I think this is what we talked about over the summer. We see a lot of the development being automated or, AI handling a lot of it. So does that mean now there's more time for the value piece? Are we building the right thing and answering those questions?
I think that's interesting. And this is, I was talking to ChatGPT about this, as this is one of the sound bites it threw out. It's very AI-ish, but I think it's about right, where AI can do the building for you, accelerate your speed, do a lot of the engineering work. Agile ways of working still tell you why you should build something or what's important or what's good and what's bad. And I think that's why AI is that thinking partner or that sort of thinking co-pilot. It can't really give you a sense of taste or develop your sense of what's good and what's bad. You still need to act as the supervisory layer or the judge over the top of that.
Interesting. Right. So have you taken a class on basic product discovery at all? And how do we shape how we go about knowing if we're building the right thing?
Good point. I did one earlier in the year, actually. Scrum.org released a really good course earlier in the year around January time, the PPDV. I think it's Professional Product Development, Discovery and Validation, something like that. I can't remember the name, but that was very good. And it leans quite heavily on evidence-based management from Scrum.org, which breaks down development into four key areas: current value, unrealized value, time to market, and the ability to innovate. The evidence-based management framework is really sort of mandatory reading for anyone that wants to understand how you can make more effective product decisions, how you can quantify value, and how you can see if you're on the right track to getting where you want to go or not.
So, what other insights then have you had? Now, you said before we started recording, this hasn't just been 2025. You've actually been doing this for years, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So every year's had a bit of a theme. The first one was very scattergun, just whatever I get my hands on, I went for. In the second year of my challenge, I focused quite heavily on cloud computing. The third year was a combination of agile delivery and AI focused stuff. And this fourth year has been very heavily focused on data bricks, and generous lashings of AI thrown in there. These three sort of core tenets are really what's driving the tech scene for me at the minute. And they form a really nice sort of almost a holy trinity of sort of areas of technology, because AI is obviously the latest and greatest. Everyone's trying to do something different or trying to do something new with AI. That's all propped up or served to most customers via cloud-based platforms and cloud-based tooling. And all of this relies on the underlying data, which needs to be of high quality, of high relevance, all that good stuff. So by focusing, and what I sort of do in that post is encourage people to take a challenge of this themselves. Another step you could take is look at these three core tenets of AI, data, and cloud, and build a challenge around one of those, because I think those three are really what's driving the industry generally at the minute. And that's where you can derive not only a lot of learning and knowledge, but a lot of longer term career security will come from being aware, literate, and building some expertise in one of those three areas.
Great. So, since you have all of this experience with these different classes, what are your recommendations? And maybe there's not one size fits all, but what are your recommendations? Like, for example, I'd like to know more about agentic AI this year because I'm looking to see how agile delivery and agents can help. So, what classes would you recommend to me that I should take in 2026?
This is a really good segue into some assets and stuff that I've created. So this is my link tree.
Okay. And we'll
I
put this
promise,
link in the description wherever you see this video or podcast.
I promise you there's some useful stuff in here, so I'm trying not to shameless plug it. But this learning plan section, I've started creating learning plans for the different areas that I touch or look at. There's stuff in here for everything I've touched on. So we've got the data learning plan here, the cloud learning plan here. But the most popular ones by far are these AI learning plans. So if I just flick
Okay.
these open, these
Yeah,
links will
this
all
is
take you.
great.
Yeah, these links will all take you to a Miro board, and Miro is sort of the housing element for this. So
Okay.
the AI Learning Plan 1 is a little bit of AI with a bit of a delivery focus. So we've got PMI credentials, Pendo, Scrum Alliance, Google Cloud, Cognitive Cloud, and Microsoft. All of these have got a little bit of a delivery focus on them, not so technical heavy on AI. AI 6-week learning plan 2 is slightly more technical, but still trying to have some of that core delivery focus. So we can see things in here from Claude, PMI again, Databricks, Red Hat, Hugging Face, and NVIDIA. If you were to complete both of those, you'd be approaching sort of that sort of established practitioner level of AI person. So I wouldn't say go and do all of these one by one in the order I've set out. I would say have a look, treat it a bit like a buffet, pick the stuff that you're interested in, discard the stuff that you're not. But the agents one, which is the really interesting one, this is the bit I've been doing the most work on this year. I've created an 8-week learning plan for agentic AI, which starts very basic, just sort of topical word association type stuff in week 1 and 2, but then starts to build a bit of a technical ramp. Weeks 3 and 4 are sort of low-level technical fundamentals of AIs, how to create them, how they work, how to build tools for them. And that deepens as you go along, and you'll see all of the sort of heavy hit practitioners in there, all the cloud-based platforms, all the tooling-based platforms like Make, and all the data platforms like Databricks. So again, this can seem overwhelming when you look at it at first glance. I would say treat it like a buffet. Pick out the bits that you think are relevant and interesting, especially at your level, and then discard the ones that maybe aren't as useful, the ones that you don't care about as much.
Okay. And most of these you mentioned are free or low cost?
Yeah, so that was sort of the main drive for this learning plan. When I do these challenges, a lot of people tell me, oh, this must cost you a fortune, or you must have budget to burn from your
Endless
organization.
pockets.
I was very fortunate to work at a consultancy that was a partner with some organizations for a while, and I did get some of the cloud-based certifications for free, but the vast majority of what I do is either free or ultra low cost. All of the credentials in these learning plans are free, so the only barrier to you picking these up and getting cracking is really setting aside the time and getting cracking with them and creating a bit of a learning habit around them. My hope with these is these will give you a really broad sort of mile wide, inch deep primer for these areas. And then from there, you could start a self-directed learning journey of your own from there based on what you care about and what you're interested in.
Wow, very valuable. Thank you, Dave, for putting this together and sharing this with the world. Really, I think a lot of folks, I'm going to take advantage of it in 2026, and I think a lot of others will as well. Very valuable. Thank you for putting this together.
No, no problem. I really hope it gives people a little bit of fuel to get started with, because that's like any habit, I think that's the hardest thing, and is it getting started and getting over that 2-week hump. But then once you're over that, it sort of just becomes part of who you are and what you do, doesn't it?
Yeah, lifelong learning. I mean, it's very valuable and things are changing and they're changing fast. So, folks, I hope you all take advantage and follow Dave. Is LinkedIn your primary platform that you use, Dave?
Yeah, LinkedIn's the primary platform. I may be taking a leaf out of your book heading into 2026 and doing more video/YouTube style stuff. I must admit, I'm not sure how well my accent comes across on sound, but maybe I can do some elocution lessons and get a little bit further forward there.
You sound like Sean Connery. This is great. Yeah, I love your accent.
I wish I looked like him, that's for sure.
You kind of do. So what's coming in 2026? Are you going to continue keeping this up to date? Are you going to change focus or take a break? What's next?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. So I had sort of broad themes for the year. I am probably going to continue with all things agile delivery and weaving in AI there where I can. But I need to do a little bit of ideation this year around what's going to come next in 2026 in terms of the core focus. The big AI sort of wave I'm really blown away by are the tools I mentioned earlier for the application development and the engineering stuff, tools like Lovable, Replit, Base 4.
Hmm.
I'm going to make a big push to get more ingrained and more woven into communities in Lovable this year, because they're making a big push to build some community feel in there. So I want to get a lot more integrated there. And also within Miro, I've been part of the Miro community for a long time, and they are doing a lot of really interesting work building bridges between Miro and Lovable. I did a video a couple of weeks ago where Lovable can now access your Miro account, look at what's in your Miro boards, and create applications, products, anything you want based on what's in your boards now. So the sort of barrier for entry for being able to create real digital products has never been lower, and it looks like it's just going to continue being driven further and further down, which is, for someone like me, just incredibly exciting. And I just want to be part of that movement and that wave.
Can I take a user story map in Miro and then Lovable can actually connect to it and say, this is a backlog for a product and actually create it?
Yeah, you'd be surprised. You don't even need to go as deep as a user story flow. Even just having something like images and
Really?
frames on is enough. And I've got a little demo that I can show you here. So let me flash up my screen again. This Miro board basis for a very sort of light touch video game I designed in Miro with a bit of almost a wireframe flow here of a home screen, what the game screen could look like, a pause menu, and a win condition menu level. I've tied in there a little bit of a user story map for the user journey in the game. And what I did
Okay.
was I went into, this is Lovable I've got on screen now. Let me pull this up. And all I did here was in the top prompt, you can see, check on my Miro board title Lovable. Here's the link and build what's in there. And from there, Lovable took it away and built the game that you see here. And something really that you can do before I demo this game, you can take the link to the game itself now, copy that, and using Miro's embed feature, we can do an embedding of that application directly into the Miro board. So this creates, for me, an incredible confluence of tooling where we've got the product itself here and now,
Right.
the product development here, and we could have all sorts of other things like product requirements documentation, user backlogs, the team performance, all of the metrics. So an AI tool in Miro, for example, can teach you how your users can make the most of their time investment, how your development teams can get the most bang for their buck in terms of effort. And what it can also do is evolve this based on what you add in instead. So the immediate thing I did was try and add a new feature. And the new feature was a character select. This started off as a game for just this little green guy, but I decided to
Yeah.
put in more.
Okay.
And later in the prompts, I think I went back into Lovable and said, go back into my Miro board, locate the facelift / character select frame and add this into the game. It's then gone ahead and done that. So it's taken this as the sort of raw material for adding this feature. And now if we go to the game, we should be able to see that character select in there as well. And then we can go from there into the game. We can run around the screen. We can test this out ideally. And as I say, for someone like me, this is just so far and away ahead of what it started as in my time in IT. When I think of the application development practices and tooling that were available to us just 10 years ago, and now we've got tools like this at our fingertips available for free to do whatever we want with. Just the power that's now in your hands as an individual contributor, it just blows me away. And I really hope and encourage more people to give this type of tooling a try and see what they can do with it.
Well, I just see so much with collaboration, even if you're in different locations, because in Miro, you can invite other people to the board. And as you're updating the diagrams, the flow, the wireframes, seeing the game change in real time, I mean, we're talking, yeah, I just kind of at a loss for words, actually. This is really amazing. Thanks for sharing this, Dave.
I mean, one thing I've wanted to do, this probably isn't appropriate for a recorded podcast like this, but maybe on a live would be invite a guest from the community or maybe a live
Right.
guest on a podcast, bring them on screen, take a screen dump of them and put them into a game like this. And
Wow.
that could be done
Yeah.
in a month. It's just amazing the power that's available to you now.
Wow.
Maybe that's a good piece of homework for you, Dave. You could create a video game around your podcast and put you in there as the main character.
Yeah, there you go. And remember those, if you had those books growing up, the Choose Your Own Adventure books, you remember those?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right? You had them in the UK. You know, if the plane has crashed, go to page 87, right? So this is this is where we could draw it out here on Miro. No, this is great. And things are changing so much, right? So who knows later in 2026 what we're going to see.
Yeah, I should also stress this is Miro and Lovable's first pass at this. I've got no
Okay.
doubt if we came back this time next year, we would just be so much further ahead again. And the tooling, the features, the ideas that you can create and build on will just be so much further ahead than they are even now. Just fantastic tooling available.
Fantastic. Well, anything else you want to share before we wrap this up?
I don't think anything to share. The only thing I would say is please get stuck into a learning journey like this for yourself. It's been incredibly rewarding for me. I've learned so much more than I thought I ever would. And I just can't stress enough the benefits of really going for something like this. So please get stuck in if you can.
All right. It's a great way to end it. Thank you very much. Everybody, thanks for joining. What do you think? Put it in the comments, like and subscribe. We appreciate all of our listeners and viewers across all of our platforms. We wish you the best in 2026. Till next time, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.